Oh yeah, I remember this like yesterday. It was let's go back to 1989. Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas Hearns, the rematch. A fight that many people thought was past its prime for a rematch happening. But what happened was you ended up with a more entertaining fight on both ends because both guys were slower, older, but the rivalry and the competitive nature of both guys was going to lead to a great fight. And that's what you saw. And the decision didn't go the way it was supposed to go. A lot of people felt Tommy won, in which he did, but the draw just brought about what could have been. Now, since Ray Leonard didn't lose, the next fight for him was Michael second to Nunn. Michael Nunn was undefeated. He was considered the number one pound for pound fighter in his era at this time. Michael Nunn was basically being brought up to rid all the legends of all the older fighters that were in his weight class, but they wanted him to be the new face. He was going to be the new Sugar Ray Leonard at his time. It was Michael Nunn, and he could box. You know, he was good personality, good kid, and Sugar Ray Leonard was that guy that was going to pass the torch to Michael Nunn. Here's the problem. When you're dealing with Ray Leonard, you're dealing with the business side of Ray Leonard. Ray Leonard did not want to do this fight because he wasn't going to be paid. They tried to do this fight all through 1990, and they're like, come on, Ray, let's get this fight going. We're going to pay you this much money. No, Ray Leonard didn't want to do the fight. All of the year 1990, they wasted negotiating a fight with a man who didn't want to fight. So after the Iran Barkley fight that was in 89, and he won, Michael Nunn, they tried all year to get him to step up to take the fight. And he didn't. So Michael Nunn went and fought Marlon Starling on HBO and dominated him. And then, after that fight, they tried to make the fight again for September of 1990, which it looked like Ray was going to come to the table this time and really make the fight. Negotiations went on, like talks, whatever, just like anyone else would, you know, basically talk. But when it came down to actually signing and making the fight, Ray Leonard wasn't sure if he was still going to fight again at this point. So everyone's confused on what Ray's going to do. Then all of a sudden, Ray comes back because, you know, they weren't going to make the fight, looks like, so he went and defended his title against Donald Curry at the end of the year in October because Ray Leonard wouldn't come to the table. So again, after they beat Curry and by knockout in the 10th round, again, Ray Leonard, HBO, the money's there, but he thought there's more money me fighting at Caesar's Palace, fighting Roberto Duran for the third time for his comeback fight. HBO did not like this. They really didn't want to put Duran and Leonard on, but they did a pay-per-view at Caesar's Palace because Caesar's paid Ray Leonard a ton of money to have. They wanted to host a fight there. Ray Leonard was handling his own promotions at the time, so he was hard to negotiate with. So they went with that fight, and Lord and behold, James Toney had his fight with Michael Nunn, and Michael Nunn was winning every round basically in that fight against Toney, and got caught in the 11th round, got knocked out. And that freed Ray Leonard to be like, whew, good. Now I don't have to deal with Michael Nunn. And he went ahead and said, okay, now I'm going to fight Terry Norris. Took the Terry Norris fight instead of Michael Nunn. And we all know how that went. I'm very interested to know, at that point in Ray Leonard's career, had he fought Michael Nunn, what would have happened to Ray Leonard? I mean, I know he would have lost. I think Ray knew he would have lost against Michael Nunn. Ray was real good at choosing who he wanted to fight, when he wanted to fight him. He was very good at scouting talent as opposed to himself. They're saying, I know I got this advantage over this guy. But that's the tragic tale of the fight that never happened, that should have happened, that'll probably never make anybody's list. But that just goes to show you when a guy just doesn't want to fight another guy. Not because, just because he was afraid. There was money thrown involved and everything else, but Ray Leonard really just didn't want to fight Michael Nunn. Now, if anybody come to you and tell you anything different or other than, they crazy. But Ray Leonard did not want to see Michael Nunn in the ring.